Talk about the first time you heard about what happened. How did you react? What were your first steps as an investigator?
Yeah, well, it was hard. I got called at home. It was on a Sunday afternoon, and it took me a second. I really had to think about what I had just heard. 4 murders in Moscow, Idaho is so out of character, and at the time they were fairly certain it was college students and it was near the campus, and that area is kind of a campus community. So once I got over the initial shock, I knew that I was coming to the station. So I drove in, and everybody just kind of fell into a role. That was a all hands on deck moment Sunday afternoon. It became fairly apparent when I got to the scene that we were going to need resources outside of just what the Moscow Police Department could provide. And we have a very, very good working relationship with the Idaho State Police. We knew what their capabilities were, and so that was the first call that we made to have their investigative team come up and help us process the scene. The scene wasn't chaos, the neighborhood, but it was very, very somber. Like I said, that is a community of college students that live over there. Many of them, through word of mouth, knew what had happened. They were standing outside. There was a lot of crying. There were friends trying to find out who exactly was inside the house. Some family members that arrived on scene. It was incredibly hard for the community, but it was also really, really hard on our officers, some of whom were very young, and that was the first real major crime scene that they had encountered. So emotionally, it was a very, very draining day. But resources came, and then the first about 3 days was just an adjustment, trying to get resources in place and then get a system that worked for everybody. The FBI got involved almost immediately, and the FBI, the Idaho State Police, and the Moscow Police Department all have a little bit different way of doing things, and that's okay, but when you're working collectively, you have to put a system in place that starts information flowing and you can handle it in a logical manner. So fortunately, the FBI has some experience in those areas, and they were very, very good at helping us set up their virtual command post. And then once everything was in place, it became a very, very systematic method of processing the information that was coming in.
Can you sum up the last month in terms of the investigation?
Yeah, a lot of emotional highs and lows, but an incredible amount of teamwork. The general public doesn't have any idea the scope of this investigation, the number of people that are involved, not just here in Moscow, but investigative and interview teams in the northern part of Idaho, the southern part of Idaho, the eastern part of Idaho, resources from the Salt Lake City FBI office, the Coeur d'Alene FBI office, analysts back in Virginia, and the number of people that have flown here or driven here from great distances to just lend their specialty to this investigation. We have the FBI's command post in our parking lot, and we've hooked them up to Wi-Fi, and everything that they would normally do down in Salt Lake City, they're doing right here in our parking lot. So the team effort has been amazing. It's been overwhelming at times, but there are so many people with so much expertise. Somebody always steps up and takes the role that needs to be filled.
What role has speculation, rumors, and the conversations on social media play in the investigation?
Yeah, that has been by far the most frustrating part of this. We've always closely guarded the information that we've discovered at the scene and our investigative information, because we want to protect the integrity of this investigation. And just look at social media and the rumors that fly out there. A small piece of information that has speculation added to it just takes its own life on the internet and starts rumors, and then we find ourselves not only tracking those rumors down and trying to quell them, but also we see our tips that come in are geared more toward the rumor, not the facts that have been put out. And the really unfortunate part of it is the effect that it's had on the victims' families, on the college students and friends of the victims, some of whom have had death threats, and constant harassment by various media outlets. So it's been devastating in some ways. In many ways, it just re-victimizes folks who have already suffered this terrible trauma.
What is next for this investigation?
Well, this investigation is not cold. We get tips every day that are viable. We get dozens and dozens of tips. We sort through them, we prioritize them, and for sure, some of them are not good tips. They're not even relevant to the case. But every single day, we get a good amount of viable tips, and those tips help us do everything from clear people who maybe there was some speculation about, to further some of the theories that we're working on. So the next is just to continue on what we're doing, eliminate the information that we know is not going to be relevant to the investigation, and take all the new information. And eventually, and we see this coming, eventually we're going to narrow in on exactly what happened and who did it.